And then the front looks at the White House. Yes. And then, so the fourth bedroom, you have 2 desks. No, yeah, I'm there. Beautiful backyard, like a pool.
Well, I figured it must be a 2-story, but
Yeah.
whenever I hear the street slippery and I think 2 stories, I don't even know if there's any 1 stories.
This is actually, yeah.
It's funny because that's all I remember I see is.
Yeah. Yes. It's okay. You sure? You're like on the little, I'm coming. Yes, thank you.
All right, you guys ready? Does everybody have their self-confidence formula? These are the 2 here. Got those 2.
I did, yeah. I talked about this one.
Yours. You got yours. For the camera. Sometimes this thing gets to be more of a pain than just doing this up here. What's that? Self-confidence formula? Do we have that in front? There you go. Yep. All right. Not gonna worry about the other camera right now. Ready to go? You guys ready? All right, let's stand. You can start the music. Okay, everybody online. Let me share screen again. I just lost it. Under share screen. Okay, here we go. So you can see it online. All right, let's start it off. You ready? First, wait, we're gonna start the music. I think it turned off. It's all right. You just want to do it without the music? All right, so for those of you online, we're going to start with the self-confidence formula. Then we're going to go to the 12 steps. Then the opening affirmations. Okay, so you guys ready? All right, let's start us off. Ready, go. All right, first, I know that I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose in life. Therefore, I demand of myself persistent, continuous action towards its attainment, and I here now promise to render such action. Second, I realize the dominating thoughts of my mind will eventually reproduce themselves in outward physical action and gradually transform themselves into physical reality. Therefore, I will concentrate my thoughts for 30 minutes daily upon the task of thinking of the person I intend to become, thereby creating in my mind a clear mental picture of that person. Third, I know through the principle of autosuggestion, any desire that I persistently hold in my mind will eventually seek expression through some practical means of attaining the object back of it. Therefore, I will devote 10 minutes daily to demanding myself the development of self-confidence. Fourth, I have clearly written down a description of my definite chief aim in life, and I'll never stop trying until I shall have developed sufficient self-confidence for its attainment. Fifth, I fully realize that no wealth or position can long endure unless built upon truth and justice. Therefore, I will engage in no transaction which does not benefit all whom it affects. I will succeed by attracting to myself the forces I wish to use and the cooperation of other people. I'll induce others to serve me because of my willingness to serve others. I will eliminate hatred, envy, jealousy, selfishness, and cynicism by developing a love for all humanity, because I know that a negative attitude towards others can never bring me success. I will cause others to believe in me because I'll believe in them and in myself. I will sign my name to this formula, commit it to memory, and repeat it once a day with full faith that it will gradually influence my thoughts and actions so that I'll become a self-reliant and successful person. Hoorah. All right. 12 steps to the summit of success. This is a 12-step formula with minimum standards which, when followed with exactness in a positive environment, ensures 24 plus transactions annually and unprecedented personal growth and achievement. 1, I dedicate 1 hour daily towards building and protecting my self-confidence. 2, I practice and internalize my sales skills for a minimum of 1 hour each day. 3, I contact my sphere of influence by mail, by phone, and or in person, and by email quarterly. 4, I make 150 plus contacts per week, 30 plus per day by phone or in person. 5, I follow up with all my qualified leads daily. 6, I set 5 plus new appointments per week with buyers or sellers. 7, I completely pre-qualify 100% of my appointments. 8, I have an appointments attended to listings taken ratio of at least 75% or greater. 9, I call my sellers weekly and reduce all listings every 3 weeks, a minimum of 5%. 10, I sell 75% or more of my listing inventory. 11, I'll return every signed call and contact every buyer lead within 2 hours of inquiry. 12, I only work with highly qualified buyers who've been pre-qualified by a mortgage lender and have signed a buyer broker agreement. Earn more commissions and less time with less energy spent. I recognize success comes from consistent action resulting in predictable outcomes. Therefore, I commit to following every step to the 12 steps of the summit of success. Almost there. Opening affirmations. Yep. Getting there. You guys ready? All right. I'm a professional salesperson who gets homes sold. I use information to help my clients achieve their goals. I price my listings right. I focus on small wins every day. Real estate transactions are abundant in any market. My abilities make me succeed. I get stronger with every step. I'm the master of every situation. My confidence is unshakable because I live with integrity. I always have productive thoughts. I take excellent care of my body. I start each day with an abundance of energy. I'm task oriented. I set clear priorities daily. I know what I want and I get it. I attract and enjoy greater financial abundance each day. My gratitude gives me unlimited financial success. I think prosperous thoughts. I am prosperous. I handle my money wisely and I profit every day. Taking action is easy for me. I'm eager to start each day. I enjoy being debt free. I exercise daily. I enjoy helping my clients succeed. I eat healthy foods. I'm a real estate expert. My SOI expects me to be their real estate expert. I'm a professional. I'm financially independent. I earn commissions with ease helping others. I have solutions. Prospecting is good for my business. I call expireds and for sale by owners. Prospecting is easy for me. I enjoy following up with my SOI. People are attracted to my enthusiasm. I use technology to succeed. I get mentally stronger with every call I make. I'm an outstanding salesperson. I'm a powerful agent. I know how to succeed. I keep positive, exciting, fun, productive thoughts in my mind at all times. Yes. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, bro. No, it's good to see you.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Let me see if I can get some meditation music on here. All right, so we're writing in our journals now. Let's do 5 gratitudes, 5 goals.
Best business.
Showing 5 minutes ads. We're gonna be done with our gratitudes by then. Do you mind playing something? Okay, still not connecting. All right, maybe Pandora. Good morning. Here we go.
That was back in May. Now I'm just a little over 100 every month, skipping
All right. Well, good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Good, good. Well, excited to have you guys here and ready to kickstart this off. Did you all miss me last week or you were at home crying every day until I got back? I tell Anna's in deep thought back there. No, hopefully it was a good, productive week. Any wins over the last week? Any gratitudes that anybody would like to share with the group? Not everybody at once. I know this is always the awkward silence part of the meeting here. Any gratitudes or wins? Hopefully we've seen some wins. Seen productions picking up, so that's great. I saw 17 sales for September, which is really good. For a while, beginning part of the year, we're at about 10, 12 in a month. Now we're hitting the 17 to 20 mark, which has been our goal for this office to be productive. We want to be right around that 20 mark. So some of it is the new additions that we have to the team, already bringing business in and good energy. And yeah, no, it's we're doing well. So there has been an uptick in sales, so that's definitely on the positive side with what's going on. Any gratitudes? Anything? Any wins? Bueller. All right. Okay. Now one, a win. So just a win. So just it could be a small win, could be a personal win, it could be something business wise that you did that you hadn't done before, you know, that you accomplished in the last week. So it's typically set if we're doing group coaching or personal coaching, we'll have action items and then it's a win that you accomplished, you know. You typically like to start with the wins before we get into the challenges. Believe me, we got plenty of challenges we can talk about. So I'm going to jump into that. Just want to start with any wins anybody like to share. Leslie, anything you got? There's got to be something. We had a good talk. Well, what's you're coming on Friday, right? Okay. So and Barbara. So we're getting you back into Think and Grow Rich. And what ultimately convinced you to do it, to commit to it? I wasn't looking for that answer, but thank you. Yeah, it's well, what was it though? What was it that right? So, so let's talk about the fourth quarter, and thank you for sharing that. Who historically has done well? Welcome, Rainey. It's good to see you. Um, any of you, do you all know Rainey? Have you guys seen Rainey? Rainey's, well, you've seen his dance videos, hopefully. This guy is, you're gonna perform for us today, right? I'll do a rap song and you dance. All right. So it's no, welcome, Rennie. Glad you're here. But fourth quarter, it's a very interesting time, and this is actually the part I wanted to see if anybody else had their best quarter in the fourth quarter in the past. All right, I see Luis, you have. You've had your best and your worst. I appreciate the honesty. Anybody else had their best quarter in the fourth quarter before? Silver, you have in the past. What do you like about the fourth quarter? A lot of people don't work. I'm gonna turn this around because this thing's not working. So just to make sure that I can hear you.
Vacation and everybody is out there enjoying the holidays and that.
It is. Oh, you're right. Okay, now it's working. Okay, so you said a lot of people go on vacation. So why does that make it easier for you?
Because there's a lot of Asians that go on vacation too, and
Right.
and they are, you know, enjoying the holidays and things that travel and all that stuff, and make it easy because it's less competition.
Less competition.
Yeah,
Right.
and if you focus, and you do what you have to do, basically it's you know it's a game, for yourself because you're working and everybody else is just taking it easy.
Right. So this is the time that people typically start saying it's the holidays. Nobody wants to list their home right now. Nobody wants to go out and look at properties. But you've had in the past that your fourth quarter has been your best quarter, and that's I'd probably say historically, my fourth quarter is always my strongest quarter for the exact same reasons of what you're talking about, including the very first year I got into business. I remember working through the month of November and December legitimately 70 hours a week. No joke. I had business, which I was grateful for. I was working open houses. I was generating opportunities, but I remember working harder during that month of November and December. I was starting out as a brand new agent, which didn't lead to the results till about May. And I remember having my biggest month in May, and I closed 5 transactions in 1 month. I remember putting in about 50,000 in the bank account, at 22, 23 years old was a lot of money. And I felt like it's only going to get better and better from here, right? It's like, man, if I'm able to do this now, I'm only going to just keep selling homes and make more and more money because I don't know anything right now. And I'm doing this kind of business. And all it was the time, but it was also turning it up in the fourth quarter in terms of my efforts of what I was doing. And I treated it like a job that I knew, I felt like, and I have a video here with Tom Ferry and we're going to listen to it. And he says, remember what it was like to be a brand new agent. Remember the fears that you had when you felt like your back was up against the wall and what you had to do everything you can to hopefully try to survive in this business. And he talks about the biggest problem most of us have right now is that we don't have that same fire in our belly that we had when we started in the business. So how do we find that again? And how do we start working in that fashion again? How do we pick that back up? So we're going to get into that. Why has the fourth quarter been good for you in the past?
Basically the same.
Yeah.
Mentally, everybody's checked out and I'm checked in. So I've worked, I think the last 10 years I've worked Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. Not day, but the
Right,
Eve.
right.
The people are like, I'm off. I want to go look at homes.
And you're putting business together,
Let's do it.
right?
So
It's easier to get offers accepted.
And one of the things that happens at that point is like when you're working, you actually doing business right now, but at the same time, because you're working, you're generating more leads.
Right.
That are like getting ready, like they're saying, well, I'm not ready to move right now, I'm not ready to do anything, but coming, January and February, we're gonna do something. So there you are, you're there for them, and then you keep, just talking to them and being engaged with them, and then you close a few deals, and then you already have some deals lined up already.
Right. No, that's perfect. Thank you for sharing that. We're going to jump into more of those activities of what we should be doing in the fourth quarter to make sure not only that we finish as strong as we can, but more importantly, we start next year off ahead of everybody else. Because most people don't start working hard until about January, February, because they think that January, February, March is going to be the hottest, busiest time of the year. This is when sellers want to list their home. This is when they want to do it. And what you're going to find is if you get that momentum going now, there's about 100-day span of what it takes from when you first speak to somebody to when you actually close a transaction. It's 100 days. We always say 90 days. The stats came out, and this was one of the sites that was played in Florida. It's 100 days. So from what you're doing today, if you are doing activity, you have no business, you have 0 in the pipeline, and you meet somebody today who is legitimately going to look and either purchase a home or list their home, it's about 100 days later that you actually get paid. Okay, so we have to pay attention to that. And we got to understand that the activities of what we're doing today, it's about 100 days out. Okay, so that's key and important to know. But I want to jump into what we talked about in Miami, but this really lays the groundwork for it. So let's watch this video first. It's a 6-minute video. It's Tom Ferry. Some of you may have seen it. I don't know if any of you follow Tom Ferry, but this one's a pretty good one. And it hits on a lot of what they were talking about in Orlando.
Hey, thank you so much.
Miami, sorry.
I have been spending a lot of time on the road in Zoom meetings, trying to talk to as many people as I can. So listen up. If you and I were walking together on Balboa Island, down the street here on the Katy Trail in Dallas, I would put my arm around your shoulder and I would say to you, do you remember when you first got into business? Do you remember the fear you had, the anxiety you had, the stress and eustress, both negative and positive stress? Do you remember that, like, back against the wall feeling like I have to go out and I've got to learn this business. I got to do certain things. I got to make phone calls. I got to try all this different stuff. That energy that you brought to the business when you were a rookie, do you remember that fear? That's what's missing right now for the vast majority of people I've talked to so far this year. I look into the eyes of people and I say, the more conversation you have, the more appointments you make, and I can see them like, oh, I don't want to make any more conversations. I just want easy deals. I want it to be the pandemic again. I literally see that in your eyes, that you wish it was the pandemic again. As weird as that sounds, yes, you were hair and fire busy, but everything just felt easier. Everybody wanted to buy. Everybody wanted to sell. There was so much activity. That market's gone. We're in a new market. We're in the market where if you don't have the fire in your belly, if you don't have a high level of desire, if you are unwilling to go out and do the things that are required in this market, the responsibilities, the duties, everything that you know you have to do, right? If you're not doing that stuff, you're not even in the game. You're not even in the game. I was in Toronto yesterday, and I literally said to people in the room, if you are unwilling to have conversations, if you are unwilling to book appointments on a daily basis, if something else is a higher priority in your business than having conversations and booking appointments, I'm not sure if you should be in the business anymore. Not in this environment, not in this environment where it is clearly a roll up your sleeves and do the work. But I get it. I get it. If you're listening to me right now, you're like, wow, Ferry, relax. I get it. You made so much money during the pandemic. You made such a terrific run. And I know you're saying, no, I didn't earn enough. Well, if you want to earn more, you got to do different stuff. Most people made so much money. They had such a banner few years. They're now looking at this marketplace and they're asking themselves, how do I get there easy? There is no easy way. My questions for you is, first and foremost, what do you want today so badly? What are the goals, the ambitions, the desires that you want so badly that you would go out of your way to get outside of your comfort zone, to do whatever it takes to get there? And if your answer immediately is, well, I'm not anything like that, I already knew the answer. I already knew it. And that's why the vast majority of people aren't out doing the things they're responsible for, that they need to do in this environment somewhere else. So as we sit here, whenever you're listening to this, whenever you're watching this, my challenge for you, I don't think you're in a position where you don't know what to do, where you don't know what to say. I think you know what to do. I think you know what to say. You're just not doing it every day. How do you solve for that? You either elevate your goals and you find something you're super passionate about, or you put more structure in place, more guardrails, if you will, so there's no distractions and you just do your job and somebody's holding you accountable, maybe smacking you on the head and saying, make another phone call. So what's it going to be? Are you going to get more exciting goals? Or are you going to get something you're super passionate about? How can you put your ass on the line to someone that you love, for some organization that you love? Is it your church and saying, I'm going to make a huge donation? Is it your favorite charity and saying, I'm going to make a huge donation and putting your butt on the line? Is it going to your 5-year-old, 7-year-old, 9-year-old kid or grandchild and saying, when grandma or grandpa or mom or dad does this, I'm going to do this for you? And just like that, the moment you tell somebody, when I do this, you get that, you now have more structure. You have more accountability. You now have a 7-year-old saying to you every single day, hey, where are you at, grandma? Hey, where are you at, dad? Are you out there making the phone calls? Are you booking the appointments? You create that kind of structure, you're going to win. You set some really passionate goals that you are truly excited about. I know I'm just ranting here, but I'm telling you, it's what I see in people's eyes. They become soft. They become lazy. They become goal-less. Yeah, you wrote down a business plan, but there's no emotion to it. There's no passion behind it. It was just a bunch of numbers and things you said you were going to do. But you and I both know if you're not executing on it, it's because the reasons why aren't strong enough. So just a quick little rant. What do you need to put more structure in place? What do you need to put the guardrails up so you actually do the things you know? So you actually do the things you know to build your business. And what are you going to do to set some electrifying emotional goals? And if not for you, for your family. If not for your family, for your community. If not for your community, maybe some charitable organization. and put your ass online. And you know what's going to happen when you do. I've way too many stories, and so do you, of people that against all odds, back against the wall, fire in the belly, just like they were a rookie again, suddenly went out and executed like crazy because they had a strong reason why. So what are you going to do? I can't wait to see in the comments. Thanks for watching.
So any takeaways from that? What are your thoughts? Go back to the basics. What do you mean by that? When you were door knocking, what, 20 years ago?
Yeah.
That's how we met.
Remember that?
Door knocking my house. This guy was, seriously, that's how we met. 20 years ago, he door knocked my house in the colony homes. We both lived out there in the colony homes. And I'm like, who's this guy coming over with a yellow business card? Knocking on my door. And but man, you're getting after it. And did you get business from door knocking?
Oh, yeah.
You did.
I got a big invited on my block.
On your block in the colony homes, right?
Yeah, in colony home.
And what did that guy say when you door knocked his house?
Get out of his face.
He said what?
Get out of his face.
He said get out of his
I
face.
was walking into the door,
Right.
and he was outside, the garden or something.
Uh-huh.
And then he goes, what do you got there, partner? And I say, I'm a realtor. I just live down the street and, I'm door knocking, talking to the neighbors and see if anybody needs any help. I said, can you happen to having real estate needs? And he's like, no, but he's like, leave that paper that you have in there by the door. And he's like, have a good day. Like, all right, well, you have a good day too. And then I left and then I was mountain biking and I came back to my car and my phone had a few, that was a week later.
Right.
My phone had a few messages.
Yeah.
And I picked it up and then one of them was that gentleman. He said, you door knock on my house the other day and my wife and I have been thinking about selling. So would you like to come by and give us your spiel?
Right.
And I'm like, is this somebody pulling my leg or what? Because I was brand new, so I thought it was one of my buddies giving me crap. And I'm like, I look at it again and like, call him up and it was real. It's like, yeah. And then when I got there and I met with him and he said, you know why I call you? I say, no, why did you call me? It's like, because I appreciate what you were doing. You were working hard, door by door, and people will tell you no, people will be nasty with you, and you keep smiling. So like, that's why I want to hire you because you are doing the good work. And I'm like, well, thank you. Appreciate
I
that.
appreciate you sharing that story too, man. And that's so getting back to the basics is important. It's a question that came up. So do you find it interesting that he said, that many people are basically complacent since the pandemic? Remember how easy it was in terms of listings coming on? Sellers wanted to sell, buyers wanted to buy, interest rates were super low. It was like winning the lottery when your buyer's offer got accepted because it was so competitive to where we're at today. Obviously, market has shifted. Things have shifted. There's still debate of where we're at in the marketplace. And we're going to talk about that. And that's one of the advantages of being a part of an organization like this. When we get to go to events like 121, which is coming up in Vegas. This one, I have to admit, was my favorite one so far, not just because it was in beautiful Miami, but the training was so relevant in terms of what's happening in the marketplace today. The leaders that were speaking about what's going on in the rest of the country was very enlightening. There's one particular gentleman by the name of Judge Fight, and I'll share his book. It's called Success Through Recession. This guy's extremely successful, and you can underestimate him when you first heard him up there speaking, right? He's from Dallas, so he had his Southern twang as he started speaking, and I remember standing up, and the room's full. I came in right as the meeting was about to start, and I'm looking around. And it's like, all right, I heard him speak for just a few minutes, and I was ready to walk out, and I was like, you know what? Let me just give him some time. Let's check it out. That his seminar or his piece, his training was worth my whole trip. And the book, it's like $25, or if you have Audible, it's one credit. It's worth reading. And he's talking about the good times and tough times and how to prepare in the good times for the tough times, right? And this isn't to freak anybody out about what's happening right now, but we need to be prepared. And we need to start thinking in terms of keeping reserves. We also need to think in terms as an office of how to be profitable. People look at profit as a bad word. Profit is a very good word. It's something that we need to think like business people and learn how to be profitable so that we can continue to serve our number one priority, our clients, and be in the business long enough to be able to impact them, right? But we look at it so many times like, you know what, these commissions are just too high. I really didn't work that hard. Who here is not working hard right now for their current escrows or transactions? Has anybody had an easy deal? Let's just start with that. Has anybody had an easy transaction? I don't see one yet. Not one? Yeah, an easy transaction. Have you had an easy transaction in the last 60 to 90 days? You've had one? Okay. Okay, so there's one. Okay, any others? Any other good ones? You've had one?
Yes.
Okay.
Not the one that closed yesterday.
Not the one you closed
That was
yesterday.
a very easy transaction. The client was not easy, but the transactions.
Good.
But no, for my town forest was a breeze because we prepared. I'd been preparing ahead of time.
Right.
And so it was super easy
Good.
once we got it listed.
Good. So there's some hope out there. There's some easy ones, right? But for the most part, at least the transactions I've been involved with, there's more communication, there's more concessions, there's more future pacing, there's more explaining, because sellers still think, or at least this one of the sellers I'm working with in Santa Paula just shared with me. He's like, oh, no, yeah, they're putting 180,000 down, but the market's going to shoot up and they're going to make a bunch more money in the next year anyways. And I'm just listening to him. I said, it's interesting you say that. Just got back from this conference that is speaking completely differently in terms of what's happening today in the marketplace. Okay. So what Judge Fight, one of the things he talked about was he said what was interesting is he started going back into the market in 2005 and 2006, right? And it's very important because not everybody was doing real estate back at this time. But what was happening in 2005, 2006? Was that a good time to sell? Does anybody remember what was happening in the marketplace? So 2004, I remember I was 22, purchased our first property in 2004. Homes were appreciating by about $20,000 every single month. They went up in value. That's 2004. Okay. 2005, 2006. Does anybody remember?
Same thing.
Still going up, right?
Yeah.
All-time highs at 2006. So this home, we'll just give the example, was 415 in 2004. By 2006, it was worth 515,000. The high sale in the neighborhood was 550. I remember it specifically. The next door neighbor's home sold for 515 less than 2 years later. So we were at all-time highs in 2006. What Judge Fight said that was interesting was in 2005, he was at a PAC meeting. So again, we're in a market at this time, anybody could get a loan. Anybody could get one. And as they're getting the loans, it was easy for a buyer to be able to get qualified. You didn't have to verify anything. So they gave everybody a loan, but they were on adjustable loans. So this is happening in 2000. So you're seeing a boom. Prices are jumping up higher than they've ever been. I remember there was something saying, oh, Santa Barbara is already over $1 million. That's what Cameron, Ventura County on this track. Every home in Cameron is going to be worth over $1 million. I remember hearing that in 2004, 2005, 2006. So what was interesting is what Judge said in 2005 is he was at a PAC meeting. And what a PAC meeting is it's the top C21 companies in the world that get together and do a mastermind. And what they talked about is there was a softening of the market in Florida and in Michigan, and in Detroit, Michigan. That was in 2005. As our market's booming, 2004, 2005, 2006, they're seeing a softening. By 2006, when we're at our peak, their markets crashed. In Detroit and in Florida, they crashed. We hadn't felt it. We're feeling agents are selling thinking, oh my gosh, we're selling for top dollar. It's easy to put deals together. We're having our best years here. What he was doing, and Judge Fight is from Dallas, Texas, he already went into recession mode. He was already planning for what was coming. Okay. So the reality is on a national level, we are in a recession. Whether the news is saying we're in a recession or not, a recession is 2 consecutive quarters where the gross domestic product, right, is declining. So for us as business people, if you're spending more than you're making for more than 2 quarters, you personally are experiencing a recession, okay? As a country and as a whole, that's what is happening on a national level. We haven't felt it yet, not completely. We felt less sales, we felt less transactions, but the values are still up. And if you pull up the Flex Market Summary Report, remember what I said at the last meeting? That we were down, does anybody remember the percentage for camera for the average sales price? It was down 9%, right? 765 was the average sold price the month before. Guess what? Did anybody pull the recent report to see where the camera market's at? Based on what I'm sharing, it would seem like it's down further, right? What happened last month? It went up, how much? 11%. So from down 9% to up 11%, that's a 20% swing instead of continuing down. So we had a spike up last month in terms of sales. More so, in my opinion, it's the average sales price was higher because if you think about it, the inventory that's moving and the people who are buying right now are who? What's that? Cash? More money down. In my opinion, it's more of the people who have money who are making moves right now that are buying. Okay. My client just bought a property. We were luckily getting through the tough spot, but this home started at 1.4 million in Fallbrook. It's on the market for 100 days. Fell out of escrow 4 times. 4 times fell out of escrow. They dropped it down to 1.3 million. It appraised at 1.3. We wrote 1.225. They countered back at 1.25. We got it at 1.24. It appraised again with us at 1.3. 60,000 under market value. Got the roof worked out. We got every repair you can think of done to that home. When has that happened in the last 10 years? Getting a home $60,000 under market value, being able to negotiate roof repairs, they epoxied the garage floor. They wanted it to be done. And the list of repairs was from the previous buyers. There's opportunities out there for buyers. And you're buying for the long term. But you have to understand what type of market we're in. And this isn't to be like, oh, well, I don't want to work with buyers because, the market, the prices are going to come down. It's the reality. Have the honest conversation with them. Talk to them about what's going on in the market. Let them make an informed decision. Because you couldn't, and definitely not in the last 2-3 years, buy anything even at market value, not alone way under market value. Okay, what were you going to say? Thank you.
The house is in much inferior condition.
Thank you for bringing that up. That's the key to what our focus on training and everything that we're going to be doing from here on out. Everything is going to be focused on working with sellers. It's not that we're not going to work with buyers. Buyers will help finance the time for you to master and become the strongest listing agent you can possibly be. But they need a leader who's going to tell them the truth. And that's the reality of it. They're not going to want to hear it. And you're going to keep having these conversations. And you're going to say, look, all of my competition or all the other agents out there are going to tell you you can get this. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to tell you you can do that. My neck's on the line just as much as your neck is on the line. Okay. My money in terms of what I'm going to pay in marketing, advertising, my reputation, when my sign's out there, but your home is overpriced, you're not willing to drop the price. It doesn't make business sense for me. Again, we're running a business. We have to be profitable. We have to decide who we're going to engage with and not. And the only way to do that is to truly discover and pre-qualify that seller prior to taking the listing. Don't just sign the listing agreement just because they want to list with you. You need to make sure you need to interview them just as much as they're interviewing you. Okay. And we're going to work on that. But that's a great question in a situation, and it's going to continue to happen. And you're going to see that you can get the results for your clients if you price it right. Santa Paula one, we finally got it. We're going to open escrow today. But we started at 760, 21 days on the market. Nothing. No action. I think we had 3 showings. Had a few open houses that generated some business. Some. We had a few people that said they had things coming, and that's very common right now. And I'm hearing that talking to agents in Camarillo who listed their homes north of $1 million. This is very important to know. If they started north of $1 million, their home sat on the market. One started at I think it was at 1.1. They dropped it all the way down to 1.39. Finally, 35 days later, got an offer. One offer. Another gal listed under $1 million. These are right around 2,100 square feet. These are in the Heights. These are in good locations. Started under $1 million. She thought they were going to blow up. They got like 2 offers that came in. They did get a little over $1 million, but not like they expected. Buyers are tightening up. So we have to know that as we're approaching it, and you have to do your due diligence. So before you go on a listing appointment, you need to call the pending and the active listings that you're competing with and speak to them and share with them. If you say, hey, I got a listing that's coming up, do you think they're going to give you some information? There's no inventory out there. They may be able to put a buyer in your property. So many people will typically share it. They may not tell you everything, but they're going to give you kind of an indication of what's going on. So I'm a big believer that if you give information, and again, you have to earn the right. And this is as you're trying to figure out how to be the strongest listing agent, buyer's agent. The name of the game is discovery, but you got to earn the right. And what I mean by earning the right means you have to create enough value or give enough reason why that somebody's going to share information with you. So think of that as you're speaking to your next prospective client and you're asking them questions. Oh, well, how much do you own the house? Or, what you're firing away. You haven't earned the right to ask those questions yet. Yes, Severio.
I think that's a very important point, and we should remember that when some agent called us, if we have a listing or we close a deal, and they have a new listing coming up, and they call you up and say, hey, Severio, how did you do with that? How was your transaction or blah, blah, blah. It's important for us not to feel threatened by them just because they're going to get a new listing or whatever. It's just if we give them information, it'll pay back later.
Absolutely. Yes.
On that, so 2 weeks ago, I've gotten 3 calls, or 3 weeks, I got 3 calls for listings coming on in Village of the Park. First of all, if you think that doesn't make the neck or the hair on the back of my neck stand up, I'm like, what the hell? Why aren't I getting those? But and people know in that particular neighborhood that I share the information that I had with every single one of them. And I can guarantee you, I've reached out to those agents again, asking about their listing.
Right.
It goes both ways. I used to hold that information so tight, and it's amazing when you are sort of generous with your information, like what comes back. Because you also may end up working with that agent, and when you extend kindness, it comes back.
No,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that. I wasn't sure as I started talking about it, I couldn't read it right. I wasn't sure if you were going to say that or not to give the information out. And right. So, a little sweat just dripped down as I'm like, all right, we'll see. I'm ready for it, but but you hit it on the head. You have to come from a place of abundance, number one, not scarcity. Okay. And that's what starts happening in this marketplace is people start coming from a place of scarcity. One of the biggest strengths that we have as an office is each other. This team here, okay? We are all on the same team. It's the power of the pack. They talked about it with C21. And it was cool to hear it because you hear it all the time. Oh, C21's an old company. They're old. You know what it is? Experience. It's reputation. It's being with the best that has done the best for the longest period of time. It's understanding. So you're going to see this whole thing called the home team advantage that's going to come out. You're also going to see help with social media and those different things that are going to help make our lives easier on the social media front, which I feel if any of you have used the Studio 21, do you like the Studio 21, Elizabeth? It's awesome. Awesome. $21 a month, best $21 that you'll spend. And again, you can cancel if you don't like it, just end it the next month. Helps with social media. The templates that are on there are beautiful. You can do your just listed, just sold cards, anything marketing related that you need, as well as the concierge service. So if you don't have the time to do it yourself, you just pick the property and you send a request out and you'll get it in the next 24 to 48 hours. And they'll send it back done for you, right? So the agent posts that we've done, the new agent posts, the recognition, can send those in. Now I can share it with Lorraine and she can send it into graphics. They work on it and then send it back to me and then we can get those out. So, and I want to hear from all of you and know, what do you like in terms of recognition? What can I do to help you all with your business? Because it isn't an abundance of transaction after transaction after transaction, right? So one of the things that I like that Ken Gretsch has done, and the CME has done an agent spotlight. So if any of you are interested in that, I want to highlight any one of you. We'll do it once a month and we'll do an agent spotlight. But let me know what you want me to boost about you, because what's cool that Ken's done with this is he recognized an agent who's been doing it for a long time. She doesn't have a lot going on right now, but the second he posted that, all of her sphere engaged and said how great she was. Not only was it good just for her, it re-engaged with her entire sphere off one post. So that's something simple that I can do. Just let me know. And again, I don't want to do 10 all at once, right? But let's pick, and each agent in here, let me spotlight you so that we can help promote. It's little things like that that can go a long ways. Okay. So getting back to this isn't to fear in terms of what's coming up in the market. It's the reality of what's happening with the changes. But the one thing I do know is that with the support and what we have here, that every situation creates a new opportunity. So as certain individuals are lost and don't know where to go, my goal is to make sure that we're focused on the right things. And my belief is to make everybody the strongest listing agent possible. As much as we're still going to work with buyers, right now, it's about listing homes and becoming an expert, a market expert, so that you can speak with conviction and you can speak with facts of what's actually happened, so that you can translate that and make sure that sellers don't make the mistake and think they got a couple years till things are good. Because we saw the history of 2006. After 2006, started seeing 2007, 2008, and that's really when 2008 to 2011 was the recession. Okay. And that's where they're talking about in terms of preparation and how you want to spend your money. You have to look at all your expenses. You have to look at where you're spending money. And we need to start preparing for that now, so that when this does come, we're good. Okay. Now, some people are saying, well, I wish I would have made more money when it was good. But everybody knows how challenging that was as well. And it comes back to one of the very first comments I remember. I had an agent, newer agent, who had all these internet leads. And she was complaining that nobody was just ready to go. She had all these leads. She's like, everybody's got issues, got challenges, got problems. And I said, if they didn't, why would they need you? So we have to stop looking at the problems and we got to start looking at solutions, and we have to go to work. This is about going to work. If you go to work right now, you got plenty of business that's going on. So let's talk about now, as we talk about the listing presentation. There's a few different ways that I want to approach it and do this. But first, I love interaction. I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but who is brave enough to share some of their listing presentation or their approach in the process? And then we're going to outline it. Some of you have seen me do this a few times. You can go my outline or you can go your approach. Liru, are you ready for it? You just came in. You're new. You just came in. You ready for your listing presentation? Okay, let's go. Come on up. Let's do it. We're going to do this together. I'll be your seller. Okay, let's go. You're going to be the agent. I'm going to be the seller.
Okay.
Okay. And we're going to do a listing presentation. We can stand or sit. What do you prefer?
You can sit, I can stand.
Okay. All right. Let's sit down. Take control. Let's go. All right. So so we're meeting at the door. Okay.
Hi, dear seller. How are you?
Hi.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
How did I get here? Did you call me or I?
No. So I called you. I heard about you. Your referral.
Okay,
Okay.
Okay.
And so now we're going to do the listing presentation.
okay.
Okay.
So I will walk in and say, thank you for having me.
Okay.
And then I will say, can we sit down somewhere?
Yes.
Somewhere
Let's sit down here.
that comfortable so we can chit chat for a few minutes. Please go ahead.
I'm going to grab a chair. Do you want to stand or sit?
I'll stand.
You're going to stand? Okay.
Stand in.
I'm already feeling a little awkward. Huh?
Thanks to you.
Now, who's ready?
Huh? Okay.
All right. So I sit right next to you, all right,
some years say, so what's going on? Like, why you want to sell your property? Maybe we have that conversation already, but if we have not, it's like, why are we moving? Why you?
Well, I really don't want to sell my house, but you know, it's a long story. I'm going through a separation and, you know, it looks like we have to sell our house.
Okay, so, you know, sorry that happened. And then the next thing would be, well, do you have plans where you're going?
That's the problem. I'm gonna be homeless. I don't, I'm kind of struggling with my job situation right now. It's really bad thing that's happening, but it's just challenging. I'm worried about where I'm gonna go to next. My mortgage right now is $3,500 a month.
Right, that's high, but do you have equity in the house? I mean, at
We
that
do.
point, I will show up what I have to you. I say,
Right.
well, let's make sure you're not homeless for
Right.
sure, you know, I am able to, if I need to, I can also help you find rentals, if that's your goals.
Yes.
Or if you want to downsize to buy something smaller, that we can do that as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be able to buy right now.
Okay, so renting it is that's fine, that's fine. And, you know, in the future, you might be able to pick it up, but for right now, we just deal with the situations.
Okay.
And I will maybe focus more on the emphasis, you know, of your job and all that, if I have more details, you know,
Okay.
where that's going. So, and of course, I will have my whole presentations, I will have the comparisons. I'll just pick few houses in the neighborhoods, like
Okay.
maybe no more than 3. And like somewhere that's very similar, really close, and I would detail on that property. I say, well, so one of the things, a seller, I'm sure you have been, you know, looking at the markets, or you have been kind of, because you are thinking about selling, so I'm
Right.
sure that you do your own research.
Yes.
So I'll ask you, well, do you know this house that, what house is on the market, or, well, I'm she's talking to you.
Yeah.
So, do you know how many houses, you know, on the market right now in your neighborhood?
No, I know one sold at like 780 recently.
780.
That looks similar to my place.
Okay, so is this the ones, I'll show you, is this the 123 May Avenue? Is this the one that you're talking about?
Yes.
So have you seen the property inside?
I didn't see inside it.
You haven't seen inside, what do you think about the values?
I think it's good. I think we should be able to get like 775 for my place.
How much was that so far again?
It went out at 745.
745, and you think you can sell
Or the other one at 780? Sorry, it went out at 780.
780, and you think you can sell you for
775.
775? Okay. Okay, we discuss about the pricing in a little bit,
Okay.
okay? But then I show you, okay, so this is the house that you're talking about, the picture, the comparison, and I'll say, I have talked to the listing agents, and, you know, they have 2 offer maybe, and then, you know, over asking,
So I'm gonna stop you real quick. Awesome job. Great job.
Okay.
So with the price, when you said that we're gonna talk about that later, why do you do that at that point in time?
Well, because you have the numbers, and I need to set I don't want to disappoint you if it's lower.
Right,
I don't want you to get your too hyper if it's higher. So
Right.
if I have a number in mind, because, you know, as a realtor, a lot of time the number, it does matter, but a lot of time it depends on your luck. You know, you might have a buyer that just ready. It's the timing is everything. So sometimes we can have an estimate of 20,000-40,000 difference.
right.
So I am pretty flexible as far as the numbers.
Uh-huh.
But I want to show you the comparison, and you going to be listen to what I had to say according to the comparison, and then you will change your number, I'm sure.
Right,
Either go up or go down.
right,
But my goal is to sell your house, and you in a situation you had to sell, you can't afford. So I know your number will probably go down a little bit.
right.
And then I kind of prep you, like I'm not telling you the number, because if I tell you the number, then you stop thinking. Oh,
Right.
well, you don't stop thinking, you start thinking about the number. Because for you, I think the number is really important,
Yep.
right? So I kind of prep you for that. And after we all the talk, I still have to see the property. I haven't seen the property yet. I don't
Right.
want to go and stop seeing the property before I talk to you.
Oh.
Because I have seen the property in the neighborhoods. I know the square foot. To see the property is to find out more detail, to make it easier to sell, or to see if anything need to be done.
Right.
As far as cleaning and all that. But the neighborhood, the layouts, and that's what the appraiser want to use.
Right.
So that is most important.
Yep.
Now, everything else is minor, and I can guide you through how to make it more sellable, more marketable to the people. So I show you the comparisons, and I say, and of course, at some point you ask me about the commissions, and I'm a sucker, always give my money away, and I already know that, but.
We're gonna work on that. Working on that.
Me too.
I don't think, well, first of all, phenomenal job. Awesome job. Let's give her a round of applause. Awesome job. I'll let you out the hot seat. Nice job. Yeah, I'm ready to listen. I'm ready to listen to you. Anybody else brave enough to ready to do that on the spot? That was fun. Let's, what did you like about what you heard right now? What was, Elizabeth?
You mentioned the price, he's gonna stop listening if he doesn't agree with the price. That right there, and thank you for bringing that up, because sometimes I go down that path and then try to convince them to what I'm thinking, but they don't care what I say. So thank you on that one. I loved.
That was gold.
That's.
And the fact that she asked price. She didn't just start selling on what the price is. She's trying to find out what's going on in their head. That's huge. What else did you like?
Honesty.
Honesty?
She was honest, telling the seller that, listen, you might have flexibility on the price, and you might just get lucky if you have someone, a buyer that really wants your property, and they will pay the price that you want.
Right.
But other than that, I can't guarantee you that that's what's gonna happen.
Right.
It's just being honest.
So honesty was huge in it, and you can tell she was an honest person just by the way she communicated, how factual she was about how you did it. That was huge. What else did you like? Yes.
She sat down to talk to the seller before touring the house, that she
That was cool.
got to know them and got to know what their goals were.
So before touring the house, she already asked the questions in terms of time. Is that typically how you like to do it too? Do you like to sit down before you tour the house?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, because I mean, once they show you the house, they feel like, well, it's my house, and I already show you, and you can go do your work. But no, I try to sit down, try to get to know them, try to see, make them tell me why they are selling. So at the end, if something will happen, I always bring it back, well, this is why you're selling.
Right.
You don't want to, that's why you're selling. But if they start showing you the house, and they're pretty much like they're done with you, like you can get out of here, done.
So you did your discovery first to discover their motivation of why they're selling before you even tour the house, right?
But that's what I usually do.
That's awesome. And if you had to guess, would you think that this is Liru's first listing presentation?
No.
You can tell she's a beast. You can tell she's an expert at what she does. Awesome job on doing that. She's been a strong agent. Which market were you in before? You were in Fresno, right? Fresno area. So, no, we have some very talented people in here, and I appreciate your courage just to come on the spot and be able to do something like that. And I want to do more of that, not to have anybody afraid to come up. And if you don't want to, just say it. It's fine. I'm not going to force anybody to do anything they don't want to do. But the more we help each other like this, you're going to see things that came out just in that short little session right there that popped out that were brilliant. And it was brilliant. And it shows us, like, in terms of asking price, I know for myself, for the longest time, I would never ask the seller the price because I was worried they were going to come too high. And I didn't want to start from there and try to work them down, is the way I looked at it, or risk losing the listing because I couldn't meet their number. Yes.
So I have something to say. So I usually tell people, I say, I can list your house for $2 million or $10 million in this market, because investor does know $1 million. So we say $1 million, but for here, you can say, I can list your house for $10 million, but it's not going to sell. So it does no good to anybody, and people will laugh.
Right.
But I also have one buyer, it's something divorce situations. The husband get really angry, was like, but he's in the fighting mode. He just wants to fight every single thing I say anyway. So he got pissed. It's like, why would you list for $10 million if it's not worth it? And I was like, it's supposed to be a haha moment. And honestly, maybe it's just got to be careful, like kind of read your mind. And for that, I already know, because just divorced, the husband, the wife, and then you're talking to two people. I'm gonna try not to be, choose sides, and
Right.
I've done that a few times. Just gotta be really, really careful.
Neutral,
Yeah, super, super mutual, but then he just like, why you together? And
right?
it's like, well, it's supposed to have a moment, so let's.
So you said, so I see why you're going through a separation. But so let's save that for another situation. Nah, it's, and you know, and we're gonna have more of those types of situations coming up. Again, financial pressures on people. It's not even to joke and mock. This is what we're going through. So both sides have to feel safe. And reading people, understanding when it's okay to joke, that may be our natural thing. We may joke while we're nervous too, right? And it may not be appropriate based on you have to read them. They're trying to read you and you have to read them. And it helps when you take time to discover. One of the very first things, and you brought that to my mind, and I've mentioned it before that I learned through mediation training, was starting off with, even though you have your presentation, have your journal, have your notes ready to go, and just say, you know what, can you tell me a little bit about yourself before we get started here today? Start with that question. Watch what happens. They start pouring and telling you their story. You hear everything. You're connecting as you're listening to them. I think it's brilliant that you start with that. And I may try that. I may try that on my next one just to see. I typically do. So as you're doing it face to face, which I feel is more powerful, especially if you have both sides there, right? If there's two parties that are involved. The discovery, when's the other time we can do the discovery portion? Leanna, when do you do the discovery on new listing comes up? You meet somebody, right? They want to meet you for a listing presentation on Friday at 4 o'clock. When are you gonna, what do you do first before you get there? You call them on Thursday. And then what do you do on that Thursday call? And what, just a few questions that you ask on that pre-qual script. That's good.
Tomorrow, whatever time.
Yeah. So, you know, what do you realistically want to list your price at? You want to know what's in their head. And again, we're not going to battle on price on the phone. We just want to hear, how'd you come up with that price? Zillow. Okay, great. So you already know what their Zillow number is, right? And now we may have to overcome that Zillow objection, which is not difficult to do when you have the comps and you talk to people and we do the research and we do the legwork and we start showing them, okay, Zillow says this, but this is what we're doing. Any other questions you can think of that you typically ask in a prequal? Or does anybody else do a prequal that has some good questions?
Just come back to what she said.
Yeah.
You said, if you feel comfortable and confident in what I have to say, do you intend to list with me? What if they're interviewing 3 agents and they're like, dude, I'm interviewing agents. No, I don't intend to.
Yeah, they'll let me know. So then that way I'll ask them, okay, when do you plan on meeting with them? So if I'm the first one, great, then I know I need to set another follow-up appointment after they just interviewed the other 3 agents.
So you do that on a prequel?
Yeah.
No wonder you're so successful.
So what is, let's talk about the prequal, because again, this is the goal. This is, if we talk about mastering the listing presentation, great job, Leanna. We talk about this. So that question, that very first one, which I'll admit, I don't ask that question, not to start with. It's on the Mike Ferry prequal script. It says, if you feel confident and comfortable with what I have to share with you, do you plan to list your home with me when we get together on Friday at 4 o'clock? That's the very first question on the prequal. And as I'm reading, I'm like, there's no way in hell I'm going to start with that right out the gate on the very first question. Okay. Now, if she's doing it, and I believe that she is doing it, what do you think you discover? And you already hit on it. They could say that they're interviewing 3 other agents. Why is that helpful information?
You get to find out what's gonna be their decision maker.
You can. And how do you do that?
Um,
What question do you ask? This is why you ask that first question. You start peeling the layers back.
I probably would just ask, what are they based, what are they, what's gonna be the, what are they basing their choice on?
Perfect.
Basically, like, what's gonna make you choose?
One of the golden nugget questions is, what are your expectations and the agent that you look to hire? You should say this in every single listing presentation. What are your expectations of the agent you choose to list your home with? That's one of the best first questions you can ask. And if they tell me I'm interviewing against other agents, one, I'm going to find out who, if they'll share it with me, how they got their names, right? Again, it's discovering who, how they got it. Once I find that out, now I know, okay, this is a relative, or this is from a very strong referral source, or this is somebody they just found on Zillow, or through a reload company, right? Whatever it is, I'm gonna find out the story of what I'm up against. If they know the brokerage, I'll even ask that, or I can just look them up, right? But I'm gonna do my research ahead of time. If I know I'm up against this agent and this agent, I was up once in Ventura, up against an agent who did like 35 million in sales last year. 35 million. Their average sales price was like 1.5 million. Crushing it, 25 plus sold units, and I'm up against them. And this property was listed at $650,000. That's roughly what the listing price was gonna, I think we listed at 640. So what could I do to compete with somebody who sold 35 million worth of real estate that I'm up against, that they basically fired me before I even showed up to the listing appointment? There's a more complicated source. They were sold on that big agent who sold 35 million in sales. They were ready to go forward with her. How can I compete with that? What are different things you can think of? And I gave a little clue with it. What did I say the list price was at?
600.
640, 650. So how could you compete against somebody who specializes in $1.5 million sales?
But you're an expert on that price point.
Bingo. And that's how I separated myself on that property. I didn't talk bad about her. I said, this is my wheelhouse. Look at my last however many sales. Showed my average sales price right around that 640, 650 mark. Entry level homes. Nobody knows the entry level market better than I do. You have to believe that, but you have to know what you're selling to. You got to get the answers to the test, and you got to discover and get as much as you can from them, because they don't know what they don't know. They may believe, one of the things this top agent told her is, I don't believe in a lockbox. Again, she specializes in $1.5 million, $2 million, $3 million properties. You think they have different security issues and practices than doing a condo, a 2-bedroom condo in Ventura, single story, that's attached on one side? So she said she didn't believe in a lockbox. She also said that she's going to show up at every single showing appointment.
But that's what you do at $2 million.
Exactly. But I had to help them discover. I didn't laugh when she's telling me these things. But what I shared is, well, if I did that in this particular situation, I'd actually be doing a disservice to you. She said, why is that? I said, because if our showing appointments are geared towards my availability, it's not going to help. And that buyer's agent, the second that I'm there at the property and that buyer's agent is bringing her client through or his client through, I'm going to step out of the home to allow them this space to feel comfortable and check the property out and do their job. Right? It's not me because I'm this great salesperson that I'm going to sell every single person that comes through this home of how beautiful your home is. Your home's beautiful. It's going to get the action. I promise you that. And what was interesting is their prices on that property were like 605, 615, 625. There was no competition. There was one other 2-bedroom unit listed at that time at 675. There was one that they were up against, and that was in a weird situation. Ours was in a desirable neighborhood, single story. We listed at 640. We got over 680 all cash. 2 months free rent back. We destroyed it. And they said their only hesitation with hiring me, they said, number one, you did the most research. You had the most preparation out of any of the agents. One agent showed up who's a top agent in our area, had the wrong address, prepared for the wrong listing, and then used a personal situation as the excuse for why that happened. That was the first one. Top producer. I'm telling you, it doesn't matter who you're up against. Be prepared. Treat it. Never assume you got it in the bag, and go in there and prepare everything you can and discover and figure it out. Do the pre-qual script. That'll be gold. Now, if you don't have the chance to discover and get them on the phone and get as much info as you can, then I highly recommend what Liru just shared with us. Start with the discovery. I've always started with the tour, but I'm going to try that because the one situation I was telling you about before I learned all this Mike Ferry, before all these listing presentations, was through mediation of getting people to open up and being better at shutting up and listening. That seems hard to believe, but I'm telling you, I can do it at times. It happens, and we can all get better at doing that. Any questions about what, yes, Michelle?
I don't have a question. I actually have a very a way of dealing with sellers
Uh-huh.
that I'm gonna share. So after the during the initial call, if it's a referral, usually it is, I schedule a consultation via Zoom.
Love it.
Super easy. That's where I do all of my discovery, and it's more so about them. And then I talk to them about like the strategy that I would put in place with selling their home. And a little bit about what's going on in the market. And then my second appointment is when I show up and tour the home. So usually all of that is done like, and they're 100% confident and want to work with me already.
Good.
And then I show up for the second appointment, tour the home, and we go over comp, and we do paperwork.
Thank you for sharing. And I think that's genius on a lot of different levels, especially utilizing Zoom so they can see you instead of just over a phone conversation. And I like that you already start talking strategy and certain things. For me with the prequel, because I don't want to get into any arguing or making them wrong, I'm just collecting information, right? And once the more info that I have, then I know how to tailor my presentation to get to the close. And it's actually usually a pretty easy close once I can tell in that conversation when I've earned the right and I've gotten deep enough with them where they're giving me all the information that they can. The trust is there, the confidence is there. I can see it. And that's when I get to my temperature gauge questions or feeler questions, whatever you want to call them. Okay. And this is if you're prospecting, start practicing this, start doing this. Don't be afraid of rejection, but start asking questions like, so how do you feel about what I'm sharing with you right now?
Yeah.
Right. Ask them how, so are we on the right track? You ready to get started? Are you ready to, start, or they start asking, when they start asking the question, okay, so what are the next steps? You got them. It's time to take care of the paperwork. So you have to listen to that. Just because you understand an outline presentation, that's why Liru on the spot can come in here and bring it and do exactly what she did because she understands the process. And it doesn't have to be a 30 minute to an hour presentation. They're ready to go, sign the paperwork, take care of it. Yes.
One thing that Brandon has said several times in past training is that people don't want to share certain things with a whole bunch of people. So with doing Zooms first, you get the opportunity to go really, really deep with people, and they don't want to share that with other people.
Right.
Or even if they do want to continue with interviewing other agents, the likelihood that that agent is going to be able to go as deep with them is very slim. So it does give you like a huge competitive edge. I have never had to discuss price, like my price.
Right. No, that's awesome. Yes. What were you gonna
For
say?
me, I work backwards sometimes,
Okay.
depending on the client. I'll call the client and say, hey, look, there's a nice taco shop down, around the corner from your house. What do you say we meet there for some tacos, some drinks? If they say yes, they're gonna come out of their house and meet you there. 99% of the chance, you got it. They're gonna call every other agency, cancel, this guy invited me to lunch,
Nice.
without even getting the deal done. So
Right.
I might be in the hole $50, $60.
Right.
But the chances are they're gonna open up completely different than at their home,
Beautiful.
sitting like this.
Right.
Thank you very much. Now you're in a spot where everybody's comfortable, maybe a beer, maybe a wine, I don't know. But now everything just flows completely different for you.
Beautiful.
And like I said, 99% of the time, they're just like, hey, you got the paperwork? That's why I told Brandon, I don't have an actual listing presentation. I just show up the contract, leave the numbers blank and say, hey, look, what are you thinking? 700. I said, well, I'm thinking 22. Well, what do you mean? And then we just discussed. But taking them out of their house, for me, it's been working tremendously. Yeah, like I said, some people are.
It's relationship
Yeah,
first.
some-
Whether it's Zoom
yes.
or lunch.
Some people
We're
say,
building
oh,
relationships
you're stupid,
first.
Luis, because you just spent $50. And you don't even know if you're gonna get the deal. Well, I'll guarantee you, if I compete with you, I'm gonna beat you.
That's right.
Selling my house.
Yeah. But it works.
She just wants tacos and drinks. Is this about a listing? Is this about a listing? I don't know where this conversation's going here, but no, that's but awesome. And also because we've talked about it, right? Wanting to have a formal listing presentation. Yes, you can have that, and we have access to that. You can, if you don't know, Cloud CMA is probably the easiest. Just make sure you set your profile and you want to put a resume on there and you want to add certain things to it. But once you do that, it's automatic. You just pull the comps, you put export to Cloud CMA, and I'll show you how to do it. And you have a printed out listing presentation. RPR is another one. You can use the reports of what RPR prints out. Again, they're going to put a value on there. So what I do is I print these things out. I have them all in my toolbox, which is my briefcase, my man purse that I carry around everywhere, right? It's a gift from my mother-in-law, so I shouldn't make fun of that. But I have everything ready. And when I need to pull it out, I pull it out. But typically I see how the conversation's going. So on a net sheet, I'm going to have a lot of times 3 net sheets. Why would I have 3 net sheets? Why?
Different prices, be flexible on the price. That's what I do too. 3
net sheets,
Yeah, sure.
right? You're gonna give 3 so that you can prepare them and show them, even if you're gonna work, but I'm not gonna show them all 3 net sheets, right? So it can be at different price points based on how the conversation goes. And if you haven't seen inside the house, your number may change. So be prepared. It's a range. And that's what I also talk about, a sweet spot. I talk about a range as opposed to this price will sell your home, because nobody knows. Nobody truly knows what that home's going to sell at. Yes.
So I do show them whole 3.
Yeah.
And tell them, you know, we can list for this, because but like right now they like to overprice, right? So with us, I'll say, this is how much we can list. That's what you want,
Right.
but that's not what I want. For what you want, you get this, but you know, the market is going to tell itself. So if you don't sell it in 2 weeks, we had to lower the price by, you know, 20,000, and this is what you're going to get.
Right.
And so I show them all 3. And also when I go to presentation, I print everything, seller disclosure, the whole 9 yards.
Right.
Like
You're going to have it all ready to go so you can take care of it at that meeting. That's great.
explain everything to them in detail.
That's awesome. Any other just thoughts? Yes, Elizabeth?
So I'm gonna share something,
Uh-oh.
feeling generous.
Everybody's turning around over here.
And I'd love your thoughts on this too. So I recently started, when I do a seller net sheet, not after I'm under contract, but when I'm trying to sell somebody, I'm having escrow remove the property tax information, because they have to pay that no matter what. That is not about a profit of their home. So, you know, some people, there's property taxes are $10,000 a year, and they show a giant chunk. And when another agent is giving a seller net sheet and they include that, people are just looking at that bottom.
Right.
So I started taking that off, because that's really what they're gonna net. The property tax is there no matter what. So
Yeah.
that really helped one of my sellers, you know, move forward.
Okay.
So it'll just make you guys look a little bit better. But do you think that's not good to do? What do you
I mean, if it's working for you, I appreciate that you're doing a net sheet. I had an agent who was doing really well at taking 6% listings. She was doing 3.5 on hers, 2.5 the other, but she never did a net sheet. So every single transaction, there was a blow up. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm paying you this much money. And it came up. I have the tough conversations up front. One of the things that actually I learned from my mom was to put the credit amount of what you think repairs are going to be and future pace it. So I'm actually showing a worse situation, because they're ultimately, I've had discussions and arguments of, well, you said I was going to net this, but actually I ended up netting this, right? This was a long time ago. It's not really in the recent, but I've had sellers where they actually appreciate that, you know, that I put a $10,000 credit that was going to go to the buyer in the net sheet already ahead of time. So then when we agree at 5,000, I show them that, look, you actually said in the net sheet, we accounted for 10K, you're agreeing to 5, you're actually 5 ahead, and it helped close on that. So it's future pacing. So it all depends on what the situation is, but just things that I highly recommend. If you know you got a termite situation, if you know you got certain things, put that in there. And then if you don't, now you're even in better shape and it'll help close. Yep.
Question for Liz. So is your net sheet showing that they're gonna net more because you aren't putting them?
Yes.
Okay.
And that when I'm trying to convince someone to list. So again, this is before I get the listing, and then I'll do an updated seller net sheet. And, you know, with all the goodies, they're gonna get, you know, they'll get that. But it's before, so in some cases, it's 5,000, I mean, just to, like, right now, the tax bill just came out. You know, it's $5,000 in some
Right.
cases.
Yeah.
More, and if they're looking at the bottom line and they wanted to net $400,000. And they're now saying they're only gonna net $395,000 in
Right.
less than 3 years. After not doing any improvements, it can make a difference
After not-
if they're super cheap
Yeah.
or
Super
price
cheap.
if they're price sensitive. I'm personal.
Yeah.
Anyway, you know, so.
No, I
it just
appreciate
makes- And they're comparing bottom line to bottom line with
Right.
other agents. Why is it so much less expensive with Elizabeth? Well, that's why. It's gonna pay that tax anyway.
Right. No, I appreciate you sharing that. Any other thoughts or ideas? Yes, how you doing, David?
From a lender standpoint,
Yep.
Your seller's got a loan,
Mm-hmm.
they're having their taxes and insurance impounded.
Uh-huh.
When they get the payoff demand, it usually is just for the principal and the interest. And then anything in the impound account gets refunded to them after closing.
It's good to
So
know.
if you know that, you can tell them, oh yeah, we're gonna have to come up with the taxes, but you're gonna get refunded from your impound.
That's great. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's a great tip. Any other tips you got for us while you're on a roll?
Yeah, make sure they pay their taxes, so they're.
That's good. Absolutely. Pay your taxes. Any other just thoughts, just in terms of the listing presentation? What area do you want to feel? I don't know, what will give you more confidence, I guess, as you go to the presentation? Because I don't even, people say listing presentation, listing conversation. For me, it's more of a process. I want to make sure we all have a process with how we approach sellers that we know we have a very high likelihood of taking that listing, right? That's my goal, my focus. What areas of the process do you feel if you got stronger that you'd be even better at taking listings? And I want to list these out right now so that we can focus on these things as we train. What parts of it do you think would make, is it identifying the CMAs, like knowing how to come up with the value or pricing of a property? Would that be helpful? Okay, I see a couple nods on that. So pricing, doing CMAs, what else?
PR.
RPR, right? And what part of RPR, just understanding it, or is it like seeing how they come up with their value?
I think sharing with them, like, all of the amazing information, the data that is in RPR.
Okay, perfect. And we'll do that and we'll tie that with the CMA. Because I don't know if other people do the same. So I typically call title and get them to do a property profile with their comps, right? Because there can be certain things that aren't in the MLS that are on title. So you want to cross-reference it. So I'll call, whichever title company, call them up. They'll send me an email typically of all the comps there and I'll print those out. Then I do RPR and I'll pull the address up and I'll print out that report. And then I'll look at the top sales that are recent sales there, make sure I have those addresses circled. Then the last thing I do, to me is the most important one, is I do a search. I go under quick search and then hit the little thumbtack. You all know what I'm talking about on the bottom right corner? Hit that thumbtack because you want to run a map search, but you don't do it through the map search. Map search, for whatever reason, is different than when you do it through the quick search. You click on that little thumbtack, put the address in, and then I'll normally look at it. If it's a condo, I'm only going to look at the condos, right? But then I'm going to run a search based on that there and not put any track code on it, because there's sometimes that you'll miss properties if you just try to run a search by the track. So we do an actual map search of the home to see all the comps. You guys typically run something like that? So we'll do that. If it's helpful, we'll go through that process because you want to know, and more importantly, depending on the type of market, you want to know when you emphasize more on the pendings and actives. Other markets, we don't even list actives on the listing presentation. We don't even, actives are distractions because there can be so many of them and they can be all over the place that people will price wrong based on an active property. So we don't even list that on the CMA, okay? It's probably coming soon. But you wanted, luckily, there's not a lot of inventory right now, so it's very easy to do your research, but you got to call the agents, okay? So we'll do that. Any other parts that would make you stronger? I always just talk about Flex Market Summary Report. Do you all understand that? Do you want to learn more about that? Market trends, that type of thing? Yes. Flex Market Summary Report, okay. Okay, so what we're gonna do, I'll give you the final aha at the end of this right now, before we pitch our listings. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna come up with a series of classes to help us all become stronger listing agents, okay? And we're gonna outline those out, and then we're gonna do them all. After we complete them all, then you're gonna do a listing presentation in front of me or in front of the group, and we're gonna do it. And we can record it for you so that you can see it. Again, this is a safe place. This is all just for us. But I want us to all go through this process, and I want us to truly try to work towards mastering our listing presentation. Anybody? Let's say the yeses for that first before the nos.
Yes.
Any yeses? Well, let's raise our hand, please, just so I see. All right, so I got at least half of us here. Good. And if you don't want to, you don't have to do it. You can go to the classes and not have to do it. I think this will be critical, and I know from my experience in working with agents, the first time they say they want to work with us, there's a few things that we do. One thing is the business plan, and we're all going to work on a business plan, and I highly recommend it, and I'm going to help you. I got a great template from Brivity, actually. It was a different company in the past, has an awesome, it's a very detailed business plan. That one's really good. If you want a simple version, I can give you a simple version. But if you want the in-depth, going over your expenses, going over your budget, I have a very in-depth business plan that I'm going to share with everybody here. So we're going to do that together in this final quarter going into the next year. It's critical we do that in the final quarter. That piece. The second piece that I've seen lead to the most success is what I'm talking about right now with the listing presentation. Mastering the presentation and understanding it and feeling that you can walk into any situation and take any listing. That's my goal for every agent in this office, to become the strongest listing agent possible. I want this agent taking market share here in Camarillo, Ventura County. That's my commitment and my goal for every agent in here. Again, might feel a little uncomfortable, right? And actually presenting in front of the group. But we can do it where you just pick a particular portion if you don't feel comfortable doing the entire presentation. But I'm telling you this, it's going to be very productive, and you're going to get some honest feedback in terms of what can help you. You know, what are you doing great? And then what areas can we work on? The third area, which many of you are already doing, and I appreciate you doing the affirmations, is Think and Grow Rich. Reading the book, Think and Grow Rich, understanding that and understanding those principles. Between those three things, I've seen an agent, and some of you have heard the story before. She did 60,000. She was in the business 5 years, never broke 100. Her best year, never broke 100. And in 12 months, she did $270,000. And I'm telling, she's the agent I was telling you about that was taking 6% listings, 3.5 on her side, 2.5 on the other. We did weekly coaching every week. We got together, did our 30 to 45-minute session coaching. We did the business plan at the beginning. She came to every single morning ascent, which is what we just did with the affirmations and writing in the journal. She listened to Napoleon Hill audio lectures. And I'm telling you, her perspective and her approach changed. She went from being the victim of all these bad things happening to her to being the victor in terms of understanding she could conquer anything. She always had it in her, and she did it. And she's not the only one. So I know this works, and that's what I'm trying to share and pay forward to all of you. So just appreciate all of you. If there's anything else you guys want to share, any listings coming up, let's do that now. Or any final thoughts with what my crazy vision is for this office. You guys like it? You guys on board? We down? Good. Well, I mean, part of it is the buy-in from the group. And that's what keeps it going. But thank you. Thank you for acknowledging that. And Friday's going to be good. It's on desire. So if you're having trouble staying fired up or find that fire in the belly, definitely do Think and Grow Rich, because you'll see there's different ways we can do to add to that, to keep us motivated, right? And the one question, all right, I'll give one to do for everybody here. Come up with a question or reason why, bless you. Make a promise. I'll share with you the promise I made to my kids. It was during COVID when that shut everything down and everybody was freaking out. And I made the promise to them that if I sold 19 homes that year, that I'd take them to Disney World. And I broke that 19, and they were asking me every single week, Dad, where are you at right now? We're at 7. We're at 7. All right, you got 1, 2, they're counting it out, like 12 more to go. It's like, yep. And they kept me on it, and it was the most productive year I've ever had. Do something like that that's going to move you. Come up with a promise to your family. Tell your child, tell somebody you love, you're going to do this. And when I do this, It's a team effort. The family's got to buy in, then we're gonna do this. So that's my ask for all of you to come up with one thing that's strong enough, that's gonna keep your fire in the belly strong and keep us moving so that we all succeed, not just survive, but succeed in what we got coming. Okay, so if you can do that, mean a lot to me. I appreciate it. And if you're comfortable sharing it, that'd be great, but it's more to do the exercise. Okay. Any listings coming up that you'd like to pitch? Yes,
I
Brittany?
have one on Cyprian and Matt. Will be listing it next Wednesday, Broker Caravan on Thursday.
So,
And then Madeira should be finally, fingers crossed, hopefully it's finally coming on the market next week as well. That's Oxnard, so.
Can you share us just
Cyprian.
what?
Yeah, so Cyprian's, I don't know if you guys have seen the model, but it's 4+2. But the fourth bedroom's really small, like super small. So they use it as an office. Maybe a twin bed could fit in there, but so it's more like a 3+ an office. Beautiful backyard, beautiful patio, pool, solar panels. So yeah, it'll be listed at $850.
Okay.
Solar panels lease.
They are almost paid off 15,000
Oh, that's not
left.
bad.
Yeah, so it's $260 a month if they don't want it like all paid off.
Cool.
So,
Awesome job. Congrats.
thank you.
Any other
It's
listings?
Matt, he did it.
Well, that's great.
Just doing it quick.
Don't tell them that.
I will.
We'll play the recording for you.
Yeah.
Any other listings coming up? Any other good ones? Well, let's get on. That's why we're working on that, right? That's why we're gonna be focused on, and it's also creating a schedule that's listing focused too. So we'll work on that too. I'm gonna put that on there. Schedule for listing focus. Okay, anything else?
Student stuff.
Any buyers? Yes.
So I have a buyer who's looking anywhere from Cambria to Moore Park, Thousand Oaks. They can do a 2-bedroom. They prefer a single family detached. 2-bedroom plus another room to be an office. Their budget is about $770.
Okay.
So, and they're open to a cosmetic fixer.
Okay, great. I got a feeling there's gonna be more in that price point coming up here, so that's good. That's awesome. Any others, buyers? Before I forget, I know last year you did a pie giveaway. Are you planning to do that again? Okay, do you, is that okay if we do it as an office thing, or do you want to do it individually, or what do you prefer on that? Oh, perfect.
But I'll talk to her about it. I
Yep.
don't see why there'd be a problem.
Okay, and I don't mean to impose on it, but what I'd like to do is do something. So one thing we used to do in CME was a pumpkin giveaway. There's definitely a cost to that and buying it and doing it, same with the pie giveaway, but we got a good time of the season coming up. Let's pick one event and let's do it. And then I'll figure out what we can contribute as an office. There'll probably be some agent participation more than likely in it. But just something we can utilize this awesome location. I mean, I'm trying to think of where to give everything away if we do it in the front for the conference room, but we can find a way to position this and do it. It'd be great to do it off the back. I just don't know how we hand the pies and the pumpkins over the fence, right?
So, and Jen and I actually are doing a pie event as
Oh, are you?
well.
Are you?
So, and we were gonna kind
Yeah.
of brainstorm and open it up, so. We just need to if you don't, we're open to opening it up, but we'll coordinate.
Cool. Well, if people are interested in it, definitely shoot me a message, do something so I can start getting a list of people who are interested in doing it. I know, Jesse and the team over here, you guys are doing a home buyer class, which is awesome. Looks like you're getting good traction on that, right?
Yeah, out of 50, I think we have like 4 slots left.
Jeez.
Wow.
We'll
So,
be giving out, we'll be giving raffles, food, drinks, and BJG can be playing some music.
there you go.
Wonderful.
So I'll definitely do one in this final quarter. I gotta schedule it because there's somebody I met at an open house. That's my goal at open houses, is talking about home buyer classes. And we did one together and they're interested. They're like, let us know when that home buyer class is coming up. They're strong buyers. So there's strong buyers out there looking right now. Not everybody's discouraged by these rates. We got to get them in. You talked about building the pipeline. That's what we have to do. So home buyer class is still very effective. So I'll do one and it's open to everybody in terms of any agents that want to bring any of your buyers or prospects. So you can start advertising. If you do an open house, create a little placard or a sheet that says, interested in our next first time home buyer class, sign up here, right? And then I also have another open house placard that Russ used to give out that says as a condition to see this home, sellers are requesting that you fill out all your information. That works really well too. So if you don't do that already at your open houses, I highly recommend have that up in front. And then I have one of the sign-in sheets that's from the board here. That's full, the open house sign-in sheet. I've gotten listings from it where they've asked me to do a CMA for them. So you can make copies of my sign-in sheet and just put your own 3-ring binder together and then put the placard on the front, put those inside there, you know, and then have that setting up. But just other ways to be more effective at your open houses as well. That was great. I think we're good. Unless you guys want to wrap up with closing affirmations, are you ready to go? All right, let's wrap up. Let's do the closing affirmations. Oh, shit. Shoot, we're 1 minutes over. Hey, Wayne.
Yeah.
Hi, Brandon. Hi, everyone.
How are you doing?
Good. I have a stomach ache. That's why I didn't go.
Awesome. Well, thanks for hopping on.
Of course.
All right, we're gonna do our closing affirmations. If you want to dance over there, you can. We got some Timberland.
Okay.
I don't even know what song's coming on. Okay. Oh, okay. Whoops. All right. Let's go to closing affirmations. Apologize for the cuss words in advance. Do them off here. You guys ready? I succeed because I act on my goals. I'm an optimist. I like talking to new people. I know what is important to me. I remember people's names. I have a daily plan and I follow it. I'm passionate about real estate. I know consistency is my greatest tool. My thoughts lead my emotions, actions, and results. I focus on my dreams daily. My presentation is powerful and persuasive. I improve my skills daily. I'm happy. I love to prospect because it feeds my business. I see my future and it is awesome. I love my life. I'm grateful and thankful. I control my thinking. I believe in me. I feel outstanding. I use my beliefs and optimism to succeed daily. I get things done. I provide excellent customer service. I drink water daily. I connect with people. People love me. I love others. I'm disciplined and accountable to my daily schedule. I prospect daily. I set appointments daily. I'm a master persuader. I achieve my goals. I'm a real estate rock star. I'm passionate about my life. I live every day with purpose. Confident in my sales skills. I know my destiny. I'm healthy and strong. I'm powerful. I'm unstoppable. I keep positive, exciting, fun, productive thoughts in my mind at all times. Yes. All right. Good job, everybody. Got the dance party. All right, Win. It's good seeing you. All right, we'll see you later, Win. Thanks for hopping on.
All right,
We'll see you
Brandon.
later.
See you at the office.
All right,
Bye.
see you, Win.
All right, bye.
Hey,